That's your Raid Shadow Legends. Welcome to the video. Glad to have you all here with me today. We're talking some arena in Raid Shadow Legends. Happy holidays to everybody out there, and send us some positive vibes. Maybe some love your way if you need it out there today. Listen, guys, this is going to be a good one because here in 2025 and beyond, the arena has changed a lot. Some things, to be fair, remain the same. Other things have changed dramatically thanks to artifact sets and all kinds of different meta shifts that have happened and different champion introductions that have happened over the years. So this is going to be a guide really oriented towards beginners, intermediates, mid-game players, and even end-game players. I'm going to ambitiously try to tackle all of those categories of viewers in one video today. Wish me luck. So even if you hate arena and PvP in these sorts of games, you're still going to want to do it. There's a quest, there's advanced quests, there's juicy rewards in all of these categories, even tag team arena, which nobody likes, right? Are you the one? Do you like it? You're still going to want to do it for your faction war keys. What? Live arena you're going to want to do for all sorts of reasons that you can keep making the incentives even better. Not to mention your area bonuses. I recommend starting with Hydra, but hey, whatever you're focused on, go ahead and put some points there. Great Hall is a great reason to play the regular arena, classic arena in the game as well. I recommend starting with your accuracy category and leaving attack for last, because attack only really benefits about a third of the champions in the game, right? And even some attack-based champions, you don't necessarily need them to be doing damage anyway. So first accuracy, last attack, and then fill in the blanks however you so choose on the Great Hall would be my recommendation to you guys. Okay, so we talked about all the reasons that we're going to have to play arena if we don't like arena. I personally do like arena. Let's talk about the fundamentals. So tip number one is going to be identify whether you want to make a go first team or a go second team. A go first team, if you're just farming your Great Hall, I highly recommend, if you want to be efficient, have fun at the end of the day, do whatever the hell you want to do. But if you want to be efficient, you build a go first team knowing that you're not going to win every speed battle. You're going to lose a lot of battles, but who the hell cares? You're just trying to be efficient and fast. Unless you're trying to min-max every little token that you get, every little, every battle, then who really cares, right? Just get in there and get out fast. That's why I love blender teams. You can YouTube search blender teams, but there's a bunch of different strategies you can use, but it all starts with one champion on your account in your fastest gear, okay? So back in the day, I remember pulling mystery shards until I got my hands on Apothecary. He was my first arena speed booster.
Yeah. Good time.
But they all have one thing in common. They have a fill the turn meter of all allies effect in their kit. You want to put them in the fastest gear that you have. You'll probably graduate maybe to a High Katoon, maybe to a Seeker. I rode Seeker hard until I got my hands on Arbiter, right? But either way, they have a turn meter boost. They're going to be your fastest champion. Base speed does matter quite a bit, especially as you progress in the game. In the beginning, you're like, oh, what's the difference between 103 and 107? Who really cares that much? It does make a big impact. The more you progress in the game, what you're working with, what you're rocking as your base stats. So anyway, start with that champion in your best gear, and then the next champion that you want to go on a go first team is going to be within that speed ratio of the leader. So basically 70% of the speed of a Seeker because he's a 30% boost, or an 85% of the speed as an Apothecary because he has a 15% turn meter boost in his kit. Okay, so who's going to be going second? Well, it's 2025-ish in this video, depending on when I release and when you're watching. So we need a way to deal with Stone Skin. We need a way to deal with buffs, more broadly speaking. We want a buff remover on our team.
You have the voice of an angel.
We have to clear the table for our nuker on a go first team. So you want a buff remover on your squad, right? Now, some of my favorites are Ryan, the Conjurer. She's farmable in Doom Tower normal. Remove all buffs from all enemies. We really want to book abilities like this. We want to have a 100% chance if we can. There's also another ability that reduces the duration of all enemy buffs by 1 or 2 turns. That's another way, polymorph proof way, to get rid of Stone Skin or buffs on the enemy team. One of my all-time favorites is Madame Ceres. She has the Midnight Ritual, which she does the same thing. She's removing buffs and she's placing decreased attack and decreased defense as well. So we really want somebody to set the table. We have to find a way to deal with, you know, the shields, not protected shields, but maybe the shields, any buffs if the enemy team goes first, and a 50-50 shot at removing that stone skin as well. So at least some champions on the enemy team can die. All right, after that, we kind of want, ideally, and this is kind of scaling up a little bit here from very beginner content, we want a champion on our team with intimidating presence or commanding presence. Obviously, if you can get intimidating presence blessing, even better. It doesn't have to be the champion with the aura, but ideally it is. I think I have my Armons. Yes, I do. So on one team, don't mind that he's naked on the banner there. Intimidating presence is going to be so incredibly strong. Do not discount it, right? It strengthens your team aura by 35% and weakens the enemy's team by 20% at full strength. Even the weaker strengths, it does make a difference, especially the further you are in the game, the closer those speeds start getting the same in terms of the peers, in terms of who you're facing in the arena. So try to use every tool at your disposal, including the blessing, intimidating or commanding presence. Commanding is the epic version. The stats are a little bit less to set up your team to go first, right? All right. More on go first teams in terms of turn order on tip number 2, but a go second team. What do we want on a go second team, right? Oh, one last note here on like a Madame Ceres. As we progress, as we get our hands on more gear, we really want to entertain feral sets. 50% chance to prevent the placement of sheep debuffs on the polymorph blessing. Sheep is a big issue still, but feral can be a solution available only from clan seed, so it's more of an end game set, but it's something for your consideration. One more on your turn meter booster. Hey, I have a really fast arbiter, but I just don't know if she's going to go first. Lately I've been losing a lot of speed battles because I've hit that plateau on my account. What is a way around that? How can I stack the odds as much as possible, even if things go wrong in my favor? How about Supersonic? Very good. At 4 pieces, fills this champion's turn meter by 2% for each buff on each enemy. So even if they only get 1 buff from an opposing arbiter, you're going to get an 8% turn meter fill. This is great to put on your fastest champion. What if they get 2 buffs? You're going to get 16% turn meter fill. What if a Siphi goes first? You're just going to skyrocket and cut in line and be able to take the proverbial baton back. And now we're in command. We're in charge of the go first arena battle, okay? So don't sleep on Supersonic if you're iffy, because maybe you climb so high that everybody's just god tier gear, right? You can stack the odds in your favor a little bit. Go second teams, we're gonna want stone skin, right? We're gonna want bolster sets. We have to get creative with our artifact sets. You can consider a high resist. So let's talk about some of these options. Obviously, UDK is the king of go second teams. A slow UDK and a stone skin is gonna provide excellent protection for your team. You could build them higher resist if you wanted to as well. You're never going to resist everything because those Madame Cereses, those Ryan the Conjurers, or those Crixias, whoever they're using to remove your buffs or to CC your team, the Odins, they're going to have a lot of accuracy. And I should have mentioned that you want to make sure you load up those champions in the arena for accuracy. No accuracy is too high for the arena. No resist is too high for the arena. No speed is too high for the arena.
Nothing is impossible to him who will try.
Whereas everywhere else in the game, you just need to hit certain thresholds and then you're good. You just need to resist check or accuracy check the boss that you're going against. Not in the arena, because you don't know what your opponent's going to be rocking. So UDK is great. Obviously, a Necrit the Great is kind of an end game champion. You can put him in a bolster set, a protection shield. If you don't have access to bolster gear, you can put him in shield gear. We're just stacking the deck in our favor here. All the protection possible. I love considering if you have a champion like a Pythion. I love building a big tanky Pythion with damage mitigation and high resist. I like building a Mithrala or a Pythion on my team, my go second team, because not only can Pythion revive and mitigate damage, but I have a cleanser who can resist the debuff and then cleanse all the debuffs off the rest of my team, right? Also, he's bringing a block debuffs as well after that. And again, Mithril is a great option as well. And that takes me to the last tip on, or last two tips, I should say, on a go second team. We like really strong CC passives, or passives that do something to disrupt what your opponent's trying to do, because we know they're going to go first, right? So, you know, just for example, first guy that comes to mind is when hit by an enemy has a 30% chance of placing a freeze on the attacker, right? So we're disrupting what they're doing without even having to take a turn. Mithril is another great option there, right? There's not a lot of champions that have abilities like this, but she has a chance of placing petrification. Not going to help you out right away on the very first turn, but once you get some hexes out there, you can start CCing, knowing your team is slower vis-a-vis the passive, right? I like champions like that, and I like a Mithrala because she's easy to build and high resist because of her passive basically increases her accuracy with the resistance, right? Protection sets. Protection sets are going to be great on your go second team. Protection is so good, and it's going to protect your buffs, so they can't be removed by the enemy buff remover. We already talked about a go first team's goal is to remove all your buffs. Well, in this case, we're going to have protection. They can't be removed when we have protection sets. So for example, I have my Duchess, right? Siphi's probably the example here, but I know I have my Duchess already. Maybe I don't. How about Siphi? I think, okay, close enough for right now. You can see I'm muling my gear around for Hydra at the moment in the background, so I apologize. Trying to get all my attacks for Chimera and Hydra in before the holidays here. Anyway, 75% to place a protected buff, and allies deal 5% more damage on a 9-piece. You still get a 50% protection or a 25 on a 4 and 6-piece protection set. It's a great way to stop your opponent from taking all your buffs so you can stay alive and do whatever you want to do. You can also think about a champion, speaking about passives, you can use a champion like a Mortu Macabre, right? There's a lot of champions that are very niche like this. When he's hit, he unlocks a secret skill, which can kill and block revive on the peril, right? So there's a lot of options you have depending on the champions you have, but these are some of the tips that you want to use, right? You want to have those passives, high resist, some protection, secret weapons, maybe a Sun Wukong that you can bust out and just keeps coming back to life. Who cares if he dies? He's going to be back in 3 turns with a full turn meter. Sun Wukong can fit on any type of team. He's that freaking good because he's revived with a full turn meter 3 turns after he's killed. Okay, so tip number 2. First of all, tip number 1 took us about 12 minutes.
It seems like so long ago.
So I'm going to make them really quick from here on out because the most important thing is understanding the fundamentals of how your team's going to work, and we've covered that. Tip number 2 is going to be figure out who the heck your nuker is going to be, your damage dealer. Ideally, you have a couple damage dealers. Even endgame players underestimate how incredibly important affinity is in this game. Odds are you might be one of them. I have a whole video that I recently updated all on affinities. It's crucial that you understand it everywhere in the game, but especially in the arena. So ideally, as you progress in this game, you start to pick a few different nukers of different affinities. Of course, Void is going to be strong everywhere, but it's good to have different options, okay? Okay, now the first thing you want to ask is, are they attack-based? Or are they HP based? Where's my Eric's? There we go. I just can't spell. Are they an HP based nuker like a Taurus or an Eric's or a Narcissus, right? Figure out what their damage scales on what? HP, attack, or defense, right? So let's just go, let's go Harima. I was gonna give Solus some love, but let's go Harima. Defense-based nuker, damage based on defense. Okay, so what we need to do now is make sure if you're rocking in a defense-based champion or an attack-based champion, you need to have somebody on your team with an increased attack or increase defense, okay? You need to set up your nuker appropriately. It might sound like a super obvious tip, but that's how you want to build a team that's actually going to kill whoever you want to kill, right? There's so many different ways to do that. Arbiter has it covered. So Arbiter pairs very well with attack-based damage dealers because you got the turn meter boost and the increased attack. Same thing with Seeker, as we mentioned earlier. Even if you're running a bomb team, which aren't like super meta, but you want to think of how you're setting up in the perfect situation your damage dealer. So turn meter boost, increase attack, increase accuracy. It doesn't need to be a mythical. It could be a, I don't know, a Yoshi the Drunkard. You want the increased accuracy as well and the increased attack, increase accuracy. Whoever you're running as your damage dealer, you need to think what is the best way to set them up to get maximum damage given the champions you have on your account. All right, step number 3 is going to be basic but super crucial to understand, and that is the order of operations. The order these champions are going on your team. First off, again, is going to be your speed booster. It could be a Siffy. Where is my? There she is. It could be a Siffy. She's really fast. Her base speed is 114, and she has a little turn meter boost of 10% on her go first move. Or it could be your lockout or control champion, like an Armand's, right? So it's going to be either your speed booster or your disruptor, your control champion. So again, Armand's is gonna go in there and he's gonna immediately take the battle by command by stunning and stealing the turn meter of your enemies, right? Or turning them to a sheep and removing their buffs, right? Lockout champions like a Yumeko or a Crixia, we want them super fast. They're gonna go in and reset the cooldown of all enemy skills. So again, it's gonna be your turn meter booster or your control champion going first, setting the table for everybody else on your team. Number 2 is going to be your control champion if it wasn't your control champion, right? Or your lockout champion. So again, if you have an arbiter going first, it's handing the proverbial baton over to a Yumeko, or let's just go with a, I don't want to keep going mythical and legendaries here. Let's go with Alika, right? Is that you, Alika? That's you, Alika. I didn't notice you in that, but you looked kind of like you're one of your sisters.
Aren't they magnificent? I love finding a good set of twins.
Chance of increasing the cooldown of all enemy skills by 2 turns, right? So that sort of a champion. A Basher is another one, a Void Affinity one for you guys. These sort of champions, but it doesn't have to just be cooldowns, by the way, right? But we want somebody who can disrupt what the opponent is doing. It could even be a stun champion. It could be a provoker. One of my personal favorites is an Umbral, if I can type. An Umbral Enchantress has a 2-turn provoke, right? So we want them going second, right? So speed, control. You might only have one on your team, but you get what I'm saying. You need to set that table, right? You need the buff removers to go next, right? So the debuffers or the buff removers are going to be going second or third, depending on how you want to build your team, right? Really important, again, to set the table for your nuker. And then next, we want to have, and this could come 2 birds, 1 stone somewhere, right? But we want to have our increased defense, our increased attack champion going, obviously, before our damage dealer does. A lot of nukers can bring their, not a lot, but some nukers can bring their own damage buff, which makes them even better at risk of picking another mythical. Like Allah's has an ability where before attacking, he brings his own increased defense anyway, right? Another one is Staltis, right? Staltis is a defense-based nuker, and he comes in there, is it a Stal? Yeah, it is Stal. Staltis goes in there and he brings an increased defense and then he attacks all enemies. Just make sure they put it on them before they attack and not after they attack, right? So we want to set up our nuker. Now we have our speed booster, we have our control on the enemy team, we have our damage accelerator, right? And then we have our nuker going last, usually, right? Sometimes we could have a reviver going last, and things could change a little bit depending on your team, but the order of operations, especially for newer players out there, takes them a while to really understand. It's everything. If you have them going in the wrong order, it's gonna screw everything up. Be careful of masteries as well, guys, and ignore my weird masteries on Staltis. Was trying something in Dragon. Masteries can make a difference, right? In a bad way too. Cycle of Revenge, increase a turn meter when an ally is attacked with a critical hit. Be careful that you don't have a champion. There's all kinds of turn meter boost ability, rapid response and arcane celerity. There's a lot, right? We want to be very, very careful that we do not mess up our speeds on our team because of masteries in a way that we don't anticipate, in the way that we don't want, right? There's a lot of turn meter stuff. Just make sure, these are all very, very, very exceptionally good masteries. Just make sure if things aren't working on your team, even though your stats say the speed should work, it's probably a problem with your masteries. Tip number 4 is think about synergy. I can give you all these tips, but the best tip is think about champions that suit each other very well. You know, you can think of, I'm just gonna go super, super, super off meta here. These are maybe not the best example, but I'll throw some meta examples at you as well. But think about a champion who has really good synergy with Fear and True Fear, right? Like a Noble, for example. And then think about, okay, how could I set him up? Maybe I used a Harvest Jack who brings a True Fear. And maybe I put, I don't know, like a Fortis on the team who unlocks secret skills with a True Fear and stuff, right? Like, this is not a meta, far from a meta combo, but sometimes using off meta champions can be your secret to success, especially in areas like live arena where people don't know a lot of these champions, but you do because you've studied them and you put a lot of thought into how they synergize together. Don't be afraid of off meta options. And don't be afraid of thinking outside the box and how you combine them, right? There's also champions that are meant to be combo champions in the game, right? Such as, but they get a lot better when they're together. Now, I really like Kaja the Rai as a champion. She's a very nice reviver, but she gets so much more powerful when Timid the Fool is on the same team. Now, it's hard to get both of these companion champions, but you might be sitting on champions that you look up in a tier list and, you know, they're both like 3 out of 5s or something like that. But when you put them together, they're nasty. Another combo, kind of an off-meta combo, is Alsgore, Where the Heck Are Ya? Alsgore Crimsonhorn, really underrated, very good champion in his own right, but he's also a companion champion with Jetney the Giant, who is really, really decent now as well. Can deal a lot of damage, and they're both a lot better together, right? So you can get synergy in off-meta companions, whether they're meant to be together or whether they're not meant to be together. I have a combo video that I released a few days ago here on the YouTube channel talking about 4 or 5, actually 6, I think, of my favorite champion combos that are not meant to be together necessarily in the game. For example, maybe a Hefrak, right? Hefrak has so many combos with him in the game. He's so nasty because of this passive. Whenever an ally is killed by an enemy, instantly activates his hard-hitting AoE nuke where he ignores defense a bit as well. So him with any squishy champion that's prepared to die on your team, him in a stone skin especially, he might activate and kill everybody before he even gets a turn. All you have to do is have somebody die on your team. And when you want somebody to die on your team, what better combo than Sun Wukong? So think about what type of player you are. What do you enjoy in these sorts of games? Do you like, I love control. I'll double up control. I'll go Armand's and a Yumeko. I like unrelenting control and lean into that. Pick a play style and then choose combinations that suit your own play style, and you'll have a lot of fun and hopefully a lot of success too. And tip number 5 is take advantage of artifact sets. Oh my God, don't be afraid to go outside the box. Don't be afraid to go off meta. Surprise your opponent. The element, of surprise against the enemy can be fantastic.
I have a very weak heart.
Such as an extra turn relentless set. It doesn't have to be on a Marichka, it can be on anybody in the game, right? Take advantage of artifact sets to make your already strong team way stronger. You're also going to add an unpredictable dynamic where your opponent doesn't know exactly what they're going against. Even an old school set like Swift Parry to keep your reviver alive can be the difference maker. Off meta sets can be very, very fun, and again, can be a very nice curveball as well. But think about other things as well. It's not just artifact sets. We already talked about protection. I think that a 4-piece plus 4-piece is the meta right now. Stone Skin in Savage, ideally lethal. Stone Skin in lethal. How about a 9-piece Merciless set? I had Sun Wukong up earlier. Do I still have it on him? Let's complete this set together, guys. What do you say? Let's just throw anything on him. Ideally, one with 20% crit rate, Ash. We're just going to throw a random helmet on him just so we have it, right? Check out this, man. Merciless, by the way, is for my money, it's the best set in the game. Now, it does depend on what you want. Preferred damage dealer, there's nothing even close to it, in my opinion, like nothing close to it. You're getting 3 massive sets in one here when you can get the 9-piece. You're getting a relentless set, kinda. You're getting a reflex set, kinda. And you're getting a savage or a lethal, even better set in all the stats. That's bonkers. It's disgusting. It's so OP, right? It doesn't have to be a 9-piece merciless, but it has a chance of getting an extra turn. Again, like we said about relentless, right? These can be great curveballs to take advantage of. We already talked about supersonic and how powerful that is. And again, protection. How about stun sets? How about the set combination with skill combinations? How about a Mikage with an ally attack on her A3? All allies join in. It's a perfect setup for an attack-based damage dealer as well. It's a perfect setup for anybody, frankly. Just her whole kit is busted, I should say. But how about an ally attacker with, I don't know, how about Eric's again? We'll talk about her. She's technically a free champion, but it takes like 700 days or something to get her. But it could be anybody with an AoE. It doesn't even have to be a damage dealer. It could be a Mighty Ukko, right? An AoE on the A1. And how about in a stun set? How about we go to Mighty Ukko? Might makes a little bit more sense because ideally we have Eric's and some ignore defense gear, right? AoE on the A1 ability. How about a Freya? AoE on the A1 with an ally attacker. That means with the ally attack in a stun set. And by the way, stun sets, as with every artifact set, doesn't require accuracy to land in the arena. You don't even need to worry about accuracy. It's an 18% chance or 23% chance to land the stun if you have Fearsome Presence as a mastery. You're going to go in with an ally attack and get a chance to stun, and then you'll get another chance to stun when you attack the next time on the next AoE, right? You can control and really throw curveballs all over the place in this game. How about getting around a team with a ton of revivers, right? Or a Marichka on the enemy team. Why not use an ally attack with a champion like a Phenax, right? He has a block revive on his A1 ability. Think outside the box. Think about artifact sets, even some niche artifact sets like a stun set in the arena, not something we typically find a lot of, but and how you can disrupt what your opponents wants to do. And how you can put again, like we said it 5 times, but take the odds and stack them even further in your neck of the woods, right? On your side of the proverbial ball field. Guys, these are 5 arena tips, how to build a really successful arena team and take advantage of all the tools that we have at our disposal here going into a brand new year in Raid. Hopefully you found this video motivating and helpful no matter where you are in the game. Thanks for watching till the end. And as always, take care, guys.